Hello.
Hello. How
Hi,
are you
Doug.
Hi,
doing?
Doug.
I'm doing very well. My name's Karen, Doug. I'm Tracy's business partner. I'm over in the UK at the moment. So it's just a little after 6 p.m. in the evening here. What about for you? Whereabouts are you?
I am currently in Arizona,
Nice.
so it is 11 o'clock right now.
Oh, and I bet the weather's a hell of a lot better than it is in the UK. Absolutely.
Oh,
It's
it's beautiful. It's supposed to be 80 degrees today. So,
oh,
yeah.
oh, yeah, no, I
Which would
know.
be, what is that, about 28 to 30?
Yeah, just the right temperature for me. Yeah, I've got
Yeah.
very pale Irish skin, so I don't need it too hot. But anyway, I think you and Tracy have already met, haven't you?
Yes,
Just quick on the phone.
yep,
Okay,
Yep.
correct.
So I'm
so
excited. And Karen is like she's the Brit and she's the fancy one. I am not the fancy one. So
so I'm like
Nice.
I'm like the troubleshooter, the gun for hire. So I go and work with big corporates and small businesses to basically sort of figure out what needs to be done. Um,
hmm
but listen, I just wanted to welcome you to this. This is only the second time we've got this type of format together. Tracy and I have known each other for many, many years.
hmm
And over those years, we've had so many people come in and out of our world. Um, and there's always been a single thing that if they just unblocked that one thing, it then opens
hmm
up so many paths. Okay. But a lot of the time, people can't see the wood for the trees. So
Yeah.
we met in Florida a few weeks ago. We were at a conference there, and we decided, okay, we know that this is powerful. We know that this is what we need to do. So why just not extend it to people who Tracy knows, I know,
hmm
have a conversation, see what we can do actually on the call. And then if there's any further activity after that, if there's any further conversations, if we can introduce you to different people, absolutely amazing, because then that just makes, it just spreads the love. It just means that everybody gets some of the help that they need. So
hmm
so what would be helpful for me is to sort of just listen to you and understand what's the one thing that you think, if you've got a problem with, and if we fixed that, it would open
hmm
up so many doors.
and I'll run that part. I'll chat them up. And then we were already talking too much yesterday. I was like,
Brilliant.
save it for the
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah. We need
So
the yeah.
Yeah.
so no, I think
Well,
it's gonna be good.
yeah. Well, great. Yeah. So I was talking with Tracy a little bit yesterday about, the businesses that I currently run, and it's trying to decide which business to really touch on this, and just to relate to a lot of people that I feel may be hearing this podcast in the future. I felt like it would be best to focus in on the real estate side rather than on my branding agency. So just because a lot of people within our circle, Tracy, they would be, they'd probably learn a lot more from, the real estate dynamic of what I've been building, for nearly 2 decades. It all started with rental arbitrage. I got into the real estate game without even thinking. It was just kind of a hobby of mine. Um, I don't know if this is, should we just dive into it now,
No,
or do you want me
well,
to just give you
we'll
like
do
a
it.
60-second pitch of like what I was
Do
thinking
you
about?
want
So I think you've
cool.
already
Yeah.
set the scene. We're going to talk about your real estate business, but great that you've got
Mhm.
other businesses there.
Yeah.
And then it's just a case. So what is it? What's the one thing that at the moment you would like to discuss about maybe unblocking? What would we fix first?
Well, building the team camaraderie and keeping, I guess, team members on board rather than them just seeing the shiny object syndrome and then being like, oh, I have a better opportunity over here. Thanks for all teaching me everything, but now I can go do it myself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more of so building the team and feeling that this is it's worth sticking around, and I have 2-3 solid people right now that are still part of the team, and we work really well together. However, there have been a half a dozen other people that have came in and have just like, okay, cool. You know what? I have another opportunity that, oh, well, thanks. But, for whatever reason it maybe is we are not clicking, or maybe it's they might think they have something else that might be better, or they're maybe getting paid more with bringing on deals at a higher percentage, or maybe they just got it all figured out. And within like the 3-month crash course, they're like, I got this all figured out. I know what I'm doing now. When in reality, they're so new. There's still so much to learn. But the ones that are sticking around have one, extremely hungry. Another one has been in the business as long as I have, right? And so he sees the value of adding another, I guess, type of arsenal into his adding this type of income into his arsenal, right? Because he's been a real estate agent for 16 years, and he just wants to learn more about wholesaling, and he likes the way that I'm running things. And even though in 3 or 4 months he hasn't closed the deal, but he likes the way we work together, right? And he sees the value of the systems that I've built, and the leads gens that I have. And so he sees that value. And so now, and I just spoke to him this morning, at 6 o'clock, talked to him, and he's just like, all right, where are we going now? Like, what's next, right? Rather than being like, oh, you know what, this just isn't for me. So that's kind of like where, I'm more of a systems guy, right? I'm more of the integrator, right? And so I'm building these systems out, and the people who do see the value in that stick around. But the people that don't, they're like, oh yeah, I can just go do this, whip this up real quick. But it takes months and months and months to get this all built out to where it actually works, right? And
you know what? You're so right. And I think, although you started saying that, you're in real estate and you've got other businesses, what you just described to me is foundational in every business. Okay. So I see, employee churn or team member churn or member churn is it's across the board. Okay. So just help me understand then. So when you talk about team members, are these employees, or are they people that pay you to, as like an affiliate arrangement? Do you coach them and charge them for that? What's the
no deal? I feel like I'm giving a lot. So not only am I building the systems, I'm paying for the leads, I'm paying for the CRM, I am coaching the newbies that are coming in to help them understand how to speak to, say, a real estate agent, or I create scripts for them to read if they don't even know what to say, where to go with the conversation. So like I said, there's a lot to go. There's a lot that happens in the back end that I don't think that a lot of people see, and until they go off on their own, then they don't see the value that I do bring to the team.
Do you charge them for that? No.
So I don't.
No. Okay.
So
Tracy.
Karen, 1 second. I just wanted to okay, for those because I know what he's talking about, right? Because we're in the same world, right? And you're right, this is business across the board, right? Like I just was going through my W-2s, and there were like 70 W-2s, and I only have 20 staff, but like that was my year of churn. So, but I want to just give a little bit of background of like just like give us the 1-minute elevator pitch of like what it is you're doing in real estate. So like you're bringing them on, and like they are like your business is flipping, or your business is wholesaling, or your business, just so we have like a frame of reference of what they're coming into. I think that'd be helpful.
I see.
I mean, because it's still true. No, it's true across the board. And Karen's 100% right. And this is everybody. Everybody will relate to this, especially in our world. But I think for people who don't know, like, I think it's important because we have this system in our community of like helping people who are new to kind of get their first deal. Like it's pretty common. We reach out and we do it for free, and we bring them on and we teach them. That's why I'm trying to explain for Karen to understand our world a little bit more. And it's very common to bring people in, but then again, shiny objects. And the other part I want to also say is that we are probably 95% visionary, which means like entrepreneurial, dreaming big, shiny object, and very small percentage in our community integrator. So like Doug is the unicorn in the room. Like we all want a Doug in our life because we're all about the shiny objects, and Karen can relate to that because I'm the shiny object girl. So anyway, so give us like the background, just quick about like what you're doing, and then I think you guys can keep going. But I think it'd be helpful to kind of know what we're specifically talking about. So anyway, sorry to interrupt.
No problem. So what I'm doing is building a wholesaling team, right? And then I'm training them, teaching them how to speak to, say, it could be a real estate agent, or it could be someone possibly losing their home, real estate homeowner. But at the same time, we have to. I've been there where I've had pre-foreclosure, gone through pre-foreclosures and foreclosures, and so I know the pain, right? But it's hard to explain that and help an account manager, acquisition manager, or just a cold caller.
Oh.
My apologies, just as I'm getting into the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, no. Yeah. And I think you explained exactly what it is. And I just didn't know if Karen understood. So, but we'll just jump back in. I mean, because I think she understands a little bit about, you know, bringing on newbies and teaching them the things and walking them through. Because that's one of the things that's amazing is it's unusual in most of these community, right? Like it's unusual what we do, and that we're not charging for it because that is unusual, right?
Yeah, I mean, it takes a toll after a while because, you know, when you don't see revenue coming in, right? You're training, you're teaching, and you know, I'm not expecting them to give anything in return, but their time, you know, just making, you know, and putting time into what I've taught them to do, right? I'm not saying I'm the best teacher, but at the same time, I'm giving them a platform and leads to make the calls, so they can potentially close a deal or hand it over to our closer so they can close the deal. I'm just asking them to create the rapport with the person who's maybe losing their home, or possibly a real estate agent that's having a tough time selling their house, right? They're trying to sell not their house, but their client's house. It's on the market for 4 or 5 months and they don't have any offers. And we're in a tough economy right now, and people aren't buying like they used to 2, 3, 4 years ago. So we're providing a solution to them, and so I'm training, you know, these callers and account managers to just call and say, hey, we're interested in helping you look good to your client, right? So we want to, you know, present this offer to you, and then okay, well, let me set up can we set up a meeting with my partner? And my partner is either myself or 2 other guys on the team that are closers, right? And they come in. I hate saying that name because now it sounds like a used car salesman coming in and closing the deal, right? It's not that. We're just they're getting down to just the offer and the numbers in after it's underwritten. I'm not asking anyone who doesn't know real estate that well to underwrite the deal. They don't know how to do that. So that's where I come in. I underwrite it, then hand it over to our closer who comes in and talks about the numbers, what we can offer them and the numbers we can offer them. So then once we get under contract, either we take it down with private money, or we offer it and wholesale it to someone else in the community. And Karen, we have over 10,000, maybe 15,000 people now that I'm going to say all of them are buyers, but I'd say 10% of them are buyers that are willing to take down this deal for long-term, you know, revenue creating streams.
Exactly.
Revenue generating streams. So.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that was a great synopsis. So thank you, Doug, for that. I think, I think Karen hit on the point too, that like, this is what you're saying is true for our community, right? It's a little unique in the sense that it's like specialized to us, but the flip side of that is every business does churn. Every business. So go ahead, Karen, go get them.
Yeah. So while you went off for a couple of minutes, Tracy and I were just talking about how, yes, every business does have churn, and how you are probably really, really great at pre-qualifying your leads. Okay, so you only then pass on, but what you've really got to get good at as well is pre-qualifying your team members. So you have to profile the type of person that you are willing to give your time to and all of your energy and all of your insight, all of your intellectual property. Okay. And the way you can, there's many different ways you can do that. There are tools on the market where you're able to, plug their details in and just see what's in the public domain about them. And it will tell you their kind of personality. It will tell you their behaviors, their approach to life in general, that type of thing. And that is a really great initial tick in the box. Okay. If they're a natural introvert, like I am a natural introvert, okay, you would not necessarily put me in a high velocity, high intense sales environment, but I am quite a good closer. Okay. Because when that relationship has been nurtured, I come from an accounting background. I know the numbers. I can build a rapport with people. And so it's that piece right up front, I think, is probably going to be the one thing that if you fix that, you'll see everything else go really, really well. Okay. But that's the answer. Okay. We've got to it really, really quickly. I think if we could just dig in a little bit more into where you find your team, because you both have talked about community and then team members. Okay. So do you find your team members in the community? Is that is it sort of like generating wealth within your own community?
Well, what I've spent the past 90 days in challenges, and within the community, there's challenges that they have called No One Left Behind, right? And that is really, don't want to say it's forcing the people out of their comfort zone, but it kind of is forcing them out of their comfort zone, signing up and saying, hey, I want to be part of a team, for a week, right? But believe it or not, our, team lead, not our team leader, I would say the person who is setting this up is saying, oh, wait, we can do, X amount of deals within a week. I would like to say that can happen, but he's really good at what he does. I don't know is Karen aware who Pace Morbius?
Yeah.
Okay. So Pace, is like, all right, let's get, as many people signed up for this. And so he has about 100 teams put together where they have an integrator, they have a coach, they've got someone called a rainmaker, they've got a closer. And then you have around 10, maybe 15 newbies that just need some direction, need some hand holding, need some guidance. And so, I'm within the past, 90 days, there's been 3 different challenges. And so what I do is I come on and I offer my assistance. One, I was an integrator on one of the teams, and then the 2 other months I was a coach. So during this time, you're generating leads, right? And then having the newbies or freshmen, they call them, call the leads. And then we meet, through Zoom, or we meet, in person. And, I coach them, give them, feedback as to, how the calls went, and how, what questions were not asked that could have been asked to help guide you through the conversation better, to set up the call with the closer, right? And so it just takes practice. Practice makes perfect. That's what it is. And it's just helping these freshmen over the hump to get them to that point to where they feel comfortable to just call. But once they feel comfortable calling, all right, bye. But it's like, but and I spent that time over those 90 days with 3 different groups, and I found 2 really good people, right, that are calling for us now, right, which is great, right? But I was expecting to find more than that, right? And for whatever reason, some people have other 9-to-5 jobs, and some people have, families, and they can't commit to this much time. And I'm spending, 3 hours a day with our team, right? And at the end of the week, which turns into 2 weeks, into 3 weeks, and 4 weeks, and then it's just like, what is I want to say my company, but our team, is it growing? Are people just saying later we're going to create our own team? How do we keep these team members part of our team, right? And that's where I'm having struggles with creating something like some type of camaraderie, and I've created a tiered structure within our team. You know, if you close one, you get X amount percentage. If you close two, you get, not close, but if we as a team close multiple deals, then your percentage of the assignment fee increases.
Yeah.
Right. So it's you're paid your commission on performance, right? And the more time you put into it, the higher percentage you're going to get out. And that's how in my other businesses, that's how I pay our sales reps, right? You bring in X amount of revenue for the company, you get this, and if you get more revenue per month, you get paid on a higher percentage. Right. And because that's just how I've learned over the years of being a business owner. I get paid more the more time I put into it. And I feel like that's fair for anyone else that comes on as a contractor to say, all right, well, I'm not getting paid X amount of dollars for a salary, but the more time I put into it, the more money I'm going to make. Right. You eat what you kill. That's what it is. It's like you eat. I mean, it's kind of like, how hungry are you to make the money, right? And I feel like that's how.
Well, the other thing though is I think that's an interesting point you bring up, right? As the way you tiered it, but that appeals to some people, but some people are not money oriented and not money driven, right? And I think so. I think two of the parts you also mention, if I may, is like number one, you're being assigned people, so you're not filtering them, right? So, but you can take everything you've learned and go to the free and have a form or an intake or some kind of pre-qualifying filter to figure out who you really, right? Take who has stuck and done and pre-qualify from the free group or from sub 2 for newbies, but also then also thinking like what motivates, like what Karen was talking about, like, because I am money and I'm pretty driven, but I'm also win driven, right? Like the win is more important necessarily than the money for me. And so I think, and Karen, I'm sure you can speak to that, but I think, like, I think you've addressed it like as you know how, but I think I think one of the things that could be really interesting is what else do they want, right? Belonging is some part, being achievement, right? Success, as opposed to financial reward.
Yeah. So Tracy's right. I think if we sort of were to, the one thing you have to fix, okay, which is all this is about, is you have to get some sort of pre-qualification in front so that you are not spending your time and the effort on people who aren't going to stay the course. That pre-qualification has to look at their motivations. Okay, so a lot of and it's typical of any community. Okay, so you're trying to build a community now. You're not trying to build just a set of employees. You want people with skin in the game, and some people like money. Okay, so the people that you've got who have stayed around, look at what they look like. Okay, because they're going to be, we all talk about our ideal client, okay, but we also want our ideal teammate, and we don't profile for that necessarily. And in big organizations, they have performance managers, they have, big elite sports, how are you bringing your A team to the game, that type of stuff. That's what you've really got to start to look at as well. So it's all part of this profiling piece. What's their motivation? Sometimes it's just recognition. Sometimes it's being, the person that knows you and you know them, and then you can help them make more connections. It's that recognition piece. Maybe these people, are lonely. Maybe they just want to feel that sense of community, and that's an easy win for you, because you just got to, you're a nice guy. You're very affable. You're very easy to talk to. You just got to be able to make people feel part of the gang. And that's part of your profiling piece. So what you need to do is just go away and go, who is my ideal teammate? Who would I want to wake up and spend time with during the day? Who would make that 3 hours a day feel fun? Okay, it's not work. It's just, I've really enjoyed it. Oh, and by the end of the day, we've managed to, close a few deals. We've made money together, and life is sweet. So that's where you need to start to manage to get.
That's the name of my candy store. She said
it. So I think that's where you start. Okay, you do it for your clients. Who's your ideal client? Everybody has a client avatar. You have to have a teammate avatar.
Okay. All
And
right.
I think too, Doug, because I can speak a little to this, is I've met a few other people in Owners Club and Sub 2 who are doing this in the free group, right? So their profile, they're bringing them in, and maybe it's setting up a few challenges. Maybe you don't have to have a huge filter, but you throw a few challenges that the people that are not going to stick are just going to be like, yeah, never mind, and bail faster, right? Sometimes it's
Mm-hmm.
getting rid of them, failing quickly,
Mhm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And knowing somebody's not going to work versus spending a month with them and investing and pouring in before you sharing your proprietary information and building and pouring energy into something that's not going to return for you. And
Yeah.
so, like for me, like I do my little candy store, but because we have tons of churn, right? Because they're all young and they're,
Yeah.
on their phones and whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I have them come and do a 2-hour trial,
Mm-hmm.
and then I have them work with someone who's good. And I'm like, did they do the things? Did they try? Did they look for work to do? Did they just follow you around and listen? Did they participate? Did they go? But just those little things, I pay them cash for that and move on. Like, not all of them work out, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not the perfect solution, but for me, it's kind of worked because it like they have to show up and this is their best foot forward moment. If they couldn't
Yeah.
greet a customer
Yeah.
or try,
Yeah.
then I know ahead of the time, right? And
Right.
maybe
Right.
there's
Right. Right. Right.
something maybe there's maybe there's a task you could give them up front. I mean, the whole purpose of this, Karen, is this no one left behind is to get people to start, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
the
Right.
fear, right? To rip the
Right.
band-aid on and just get them to act. And we make it
Mm-hmm.
as frictionless as possible to just get them to move. Because Pace in his community has a really high success level. Like most people who've come in and entered the community have done deals. And
Mm-hmm.
so he just wants it to improve it. And the biggest thing is people get lost. They kind of get overwhelmed. There's a lot in there. And so he's trying to bring them through, right? And it's just like anybody who's new in a business or new in a community or new in a neighborhood or new in school, we want to try to like get them the welcome wagon, right? It's trying to get them over that little hump, right?
I get that, but we're not running charities. We have to make
Correct.
some cash as well, so at some
Yeah.
No,
stage
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
and so I think we've all agreed we've got to pre-qualify.
Yeah.
Tracy's giving you the way that she does it there. The way I do it, so
Mm-hmm.
I have had to build teams for big organizations, and you get loads of people applying for roles. Okay, you get
Yeah.
hammered with their resumes, with phone calls, all that type of stuff. When we actually put an advert out, and I don't know what kind of collateral you would put out there, but if we really want somebody who's got attention to detail, we embed a really rogue line in there, like, can you, in your subject line, will you please return the word banana, something like that. But
Same.
it's
I
somewhere
do
in
the same.
all of that, yeah. And
Yeah.
then if they do that, you filtered out 99% of the people who haven't even read the
Hmm.
content. Okay, so it's things like
Yeah.
that. And then I think there's also other ways where maybe you give what you need to give to be part of the community, but you have a premium package, and you might only sell one of those every now and again, but that person has put their hands up and said, I'm really invested in doing this. I'm invested in myself. And I've got a premium product in the UK, and I might sell one a month for hundreds of people who come through my community. But that one a month, they're knocking on my door. I don't need to go and convince them or to coach them, because they can see the
Ah,
value in what we're giving. So
that's an interesting I mean, it's an interesting spin, Doug, because like what if you
Mm-hmm.
brought in, even if you kept with the no one left behind, but you say, hey, this is what it is. We're here for 30 days, but like, hey, if you want to continue and have me hold your hand to be successful and guarantee it, money back, maybe you make that offer and you only pour into 100% the people who raise their hand and pay 997 or whatever it is, right? Because that's
Mm-hmm.
part of Owners Clubs, right? We're like supposed to be stepping up and leading the way. And that
Mm-hmm.
could be, or whether it's a 2 day, whatever it is, right? Like this is
Mm-hmm.
something that we're working on, like collectively, as we're all working on our offers and how to serve the community, but also sell to them, right? To help them to
Yeah.
be successful, right? So maybe
Right.
that's a play in there for you. I mean, I think
Hmm.
that was a great point, Karen. I mean, because it's a premium offer. Like you're
Yeah.
giving it away and it's valuable.
And
I
one
mean,
thing I've definitely learned over in the UK, people don't perceive free as being valuable. Okay,
they
there's
don't.
always and those that do. So I give a lot away for free, and I get frustrated because I don't see people take action. Okay, because it's just free, so they're transient. As soon as you put some sort of a price on it, that it makes them think. And if they really want it, if they like you, they'll pay. And then you have an ascension path for them. They say, so all of that this is normal stuff. I'm not teaching you anything that you don't already know.
Right.
It's about sometimes just putting it in practice in our own business,
Right.
because we teach everybody else, but then we never look
Right.
internally and go, actually, this is what we want to do.
Well, and also too, I think when we talk about like, because Karen and I are really focusing on getting people like exitable, right? But one of the strategies is earning in. I mean, that is an offer for you,
Hmm.
right? The right
Yeah.
person that if you do a good job from the get-go, I may make an offer to some of you to earn into this business, to earn in and
Hmm.
have some skin in the game
Mm.
without having to go out and build everything yourself. And so, earning in is its own thing, right? So that's just, and again, then it's not just you, right?
Right.
Because
Right.
so like, I mean, way back when I had really great staff at my candy store, I had trained them and then they stayed 6 years and they trained everybody. So I didn't have
Yeah.
to do it ever again. But
Right.
we've gotten after COVID and stuff, like we've had to like always starting over. And it's like, wouldn't it be great if you had like a couple people that you brought up and now they're gonna, and that's what Pace is doing in the community, right? Like he's bringing up leaders who are going to teach
Right.
people, so he
Hmm.
doesn't have to. Not that he
Yeah.
doesn't want to, but like he can't. And that's what I think
It comes to a
you should
point to where
play
you can
with
only
that,
teach. Yeah, it comes to a point to where you can only teach so many people, and you need other leaders
right?
in the community to,
Yes,
and those are the only people that are going to be like his Pace Junior, right?
right.
And because he taught the leaders who want to teach,
Hmm.
everyone else. Because now, I mean, it started at like 1,000, 2, 3. I jumped in where
It's
they
too
probably had
big.
around 6,000, 3 years ago, and
Hmm.
now we're looking at 15,000, 16,000 people now,
Wow.
right? And he
Yep,
can't teach it all. He can't teach everyone himself. So when leaders
right.
step up and want to, help in the community, that's and now, I mean, there's a handful I can just think of right now that are having their own like I guess I wouldn't say like webinar. It's more of like a in-person weekend. You
Hmm.
pay a few $1,000s to come
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
what, but it's in reality it's what Pace has been teaching all of us,
Mm.
right? But it's
Yeah.
Right.
just from a different person for a fraction of the price,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Right.
you put
So I mean,
together, yeah.
I think that's an opportunity for you, Doug, especially if you want to build your business and you
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
free yourself up and whatever. And again, that doesn't mean you have to give up on no one left behind per se, but you have thresholds, right? And it's
Yeah.
also like, I think our nature too is we're all go-givers. We're trying to help, we're trying to give. And we often in life are pouring into people who are not going to appreciate and or use it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so recognizing that, and that's, I think, part of what Karen was talking about for the filter, right?
Yeah.
Is
Right.
like and having some benchmarks, like, okay, when you do this or you do this or whatever, I'm going to release this, right?
Mm.
Or I'm going to invite you into this piece, right? So I
Hmm.
think that, I don't
And
know. I mean,
one
this,
last thing just to talk about, because you mentioned benchmark, just, and I said earlier on, I am an accountant. Okay, so I do come at this from a
yes.
financial point of view. So always start to monitor your sort of conversion. Okay, so if you've had 50 people through and 2 have stayed, that's your benchmark. Okay, give yourself,
Hmm.
okay, I'm going to bring another 50 people through, but I'm going to pre-qualify them, and then maybe 10 will stay, and your conversion has gone up significantly. So you know that you're doing something right. Okay,
Hmm.
data-driven
Mhm.
decisions are
Yes.
far better than gut feel and stuff like that. You start with gut feel,
Right.
data has to back it up, and then you pivot. So
Hmm.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
I think, and I mean, and what a gift that you are an integrator, because like for me, I mean, I'm high integrator, but most visionaries could never do what we're talking about. It's just not there in their DNA, right? I
Mm.
Right.
mean, and so, but this is like, this is where you live. So this should be pretty straightforward and easy for you, right? It's just
Right.
because
Right.
this is what you do, and this is kind of how you operate. So I mean,
Right.
I don't know. Did we like answer your question, or like at least like
Yeah.
make you think about stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely, definitely.
fix
It
this
helps, you know.
first.
Yeah, I mean, I just need to help. I need just assistance to build my blueprint to where,
Yeah,
you know, where I'm spending my time. Well, how am I going to monetize it, right?
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
at the end of the day, I can't continue to just give. I mean,
yeah.
I have been doing that for the past year, you know, and I'm
Right.
looking at like, all right, well, there goes my checking, there goes my savings. I'm just like,
Yeah.
it costs money, you know,
Same.
it costs money to get everything, you know, in
Hmm.
place to have something that people actually look and value, and they're like, oh
Hmm.
wow, I see the time you spent putting this all together,
Yeah.
and
Right.
it's just like they're like, I don't have the time or patience or even know how to do it,
Hmm.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
But
Well,
so,
and
that's valuable. Don't underestimate that. You know, but you can't just keep giving that away. You can't.
right.
yeah,
And Pace
yeah,
said that we should have mutually beneficial, if, like it shouldn't be one way. And I really appreciate on one of our calls, he said that he's like, it should be like if you're helping newbies and you're not making money, you're doing it wrong. Like the point is it should be mutually beneficial, right? This is not a charity. Like Karen said, this is a business, right? And I
yeah,
think, we want so much for the people we're trying to help,
right, right.
right? Because we
Yeah,
care. But
yeah.
it's like tough love for our children, right? Like we
Hmm.
could do their laundry forever, or we could make them do it and go without their favorite shirt because they didn't do it, right? Like it's the tough
Right,
love piece, right?
right,
Like,
right.
sorry. And we don't have to be jerks about it, but sometimes I fired a kid once and his parents thanked me. And I hate firing kids. But
Yeah,
and sometimes it's so beyond necessary. I wait too long. But my point is the parents called me and said, you know what? Thank you so much for doing that because it taught him such a valuable lesson, right? And you know what? I think, when you have your benchmarks or whatever your alerts are, like, you know, danger, danger, and you fire them, they'll get
yeah,
it,
Yeah.
right.
right? And appreciate it, right? So I
Hmm.
think, I don't know. I think you have your marching orders, Doug.
Yeah.
I think
I
Doug's
do,
got
I
work to
do.
do. Doug has got work to
Mm,
do. It's only a
I do.
yes.
quarter to
I
12,
mean,
I think, in Arizona.
look at us.
It is, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So you
yeah.
have
So
full day ahead of you now, Doug, to
I
start
do.
profiling your
to
team.
start
Yeah.
and thinking about like what does that look like, because here's the great part, right, is that we're uniquely in a great position between owners club and sub 2 and the free and all of this. Like we have this built-in audience, right?
Hmm.
Often finding somebody is a hard task and you spend a lot of money to that, right? And you have
Hmm.
endless
Mm.
like you have schools of fish
Hmm.
to
Yeah.
fish in, right?
Yeah,
So like,
right.
and you know what? You don't have to get caught up on one because just throw them back and pick another one. That's it,
Hmm.
right?
Right, right,
Sounds
right,
mean, but
right.
like reality, because you know what, Doug, your time is super valuable. Karen's
Yes.
always telling
Hmm.
me like, she's like, your time is valuable. Like, what are you doing? Like, because I get caught
Yeah.
up and I want to help them, right? But I mean,
Hmm.
it's hard, but I think it's a lesson we all
Yeah.
need to learn in business,
Yeah.
period. So,
Right. But
yay.
Doug's got work to do. Okay. We're
Yeah,
gonna
I
let you
do.
Doug,
Hmm.
th-
All
thank
right.
you
Well,
so much for
Great.
being our first guest,
of
Doug.
course.
Thank
It
you
was great.
so much.
All
I
right.
love
You
it.
take
All
care,
right.
Doug. Okay. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot.
Thank you for
Bye.
your
Thanks.
valuable information. Thank you.
No problem. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.